UNCHARTED 88 was a way for us to finish something that we had started back with Damage, and it fulfills something that we set out to do in Damage 2, which is inspire people to find new ways to create an emotional moment with their percussion. And that's what UNCHARTED does. It actually was in this derelict old upright that lived in a bar in the West Village in New York City. And we were kind of perusing Craigslist and saw this ad. And it said, piano, free, if you can get it out of here. So we called some piano movers, and for about $200, 6 hours later, we had ourselves an old upright, and we ripped this piano board out of it, and the rest is history. So you have this layer of, it's like spruce wood that's about 3/8 of an inch thick that's spread across this larger wood frame. And then you'll see that there's this wrought iron huge plate that goes on top of the wood. And then you have the strings that are run across the wrought iron plate. And the combination of that plate and the wood create this really resonant frequency that has a sustain to it and this long decay. So they create this really interesting, unique sound when it comes to percussion. The transient attack of the components make a sound that is unusual, it's unnerving, it's edgy, it's impossible to put your finger on it, but it's uniquely inspiring. The funny thing about recording an instrument like this is it really is uncharted. I'm wearing like safety goggles, I'm like protecting myself when I'm pulling strings out. There's no such thing as a proper tuning on any of the strings. It's like detuning them is fair game, muting them is fair game. I had blankets over the strings at certain points in time. All sorts of crazy ways of manipulating the actual board itself while we were tapping into the sources and capturing them. You know, during the process of recording this instrument, there were points and times where I was frightened because I was pulling a string and putting it up on this little metal protrusion from the wrought iron plate. And I would turn my head away because I was like sure that the string was gonna snap and cut my head off. But then I would push the string off and it would make this gnarly, massive, reverberant, echoey hit that I've never heard before. That risk and that fear was worth it. People have so many different percussion libraries that are incredible. Everybody's got epic toms, the taikos, the massive hits, everything's covered. And at Heavyocity, we want to try and think outside the box. And that's where UNCHARTED 88 came in. We realized there's not a percussion instrument that sounds like this out there. Nobody's ever done it before. And that was our challenge. So what's amazing about attacking that challenge of trying to create a percussion instrument out of this? There were no rules. So we used everything from mallets, we used a construction hammer, a little pick hammer. I used a bungee cord at one point going in and out of the strings. One of the most affectionate devices I used, I called it the shank, which is a long needle and it has a handle, and I would put it between the strings to get the rips and the scrapes. We use picks, guitar picks, we use quarters. We use this huge giant handmade fly swatter for the big thumpy low end hits on the strings. It was endless, the kind of things that we used. Say like a felt mallet would sound really good on the wooden surface and the iron surface, but not so great on the strings because you wanted a little more bite to it. So maybe on the strings, we would use the pick hammer to accentuate that. The wood and the iron and sometimes the strings have a very high transient, which means when you hit it, it's very punchy. It has a very succinct strike, and then it decays off into its long resonant decay. So we had to hit it really, really, really soft and then gradually come up slowly. From there, we were able to get this nice dynamic range in most, if not all, of the different types of sources that we recorded. I couldn't believe the variety and the emotion that I was hearing from it, and the fact that we can curate it in such a way where you can play it on such a detailed level, and you can create such interesting and unique moments compositionally with it. It really feels satisfying. UNCHARTED 88 takes you to places that you've never been before. It's like a percussion instrument that gets inside your head. This is an instrument that I think is going to really surprise you when you get your hands on it. And if for some reason you don't like it that much, you'll be able to scare your family and friends with it because it's creepy.